Good evening, everybody. How are we doing tonight? It's so lovely to be here with all of you. I want to start by apologizing. It took us a little bit of time to check in today. Thank you so much for your patience. We did borrow the computers on loan from Spirit Airlines. In retrospect, that was a mistake. There's a writer's strike going on right now, and that's the first Spirit Airlines joke I've told in 6 months. It felt good, you guys. Thank you for providing me a platform. But, you know, I noticed the line was stretched outdoors, and if there was ever a night to get stuck outdoors waiting to check in. If you're wondering, Benjamin Moore calls this color dystopian haze. Still, wasn't it nice today to know where your masks were? COVID takes a lot of, correct criticism, but it's been very nice that we all know where our masks are now. I don't miss masks. Seeing so many masks today reminded me I don't miss masks. I did have a favorite mask in COVID that I would like to admit. My favorite mask was early in COVID, where we all had to make our own masks, and it was the train robber bandana that people wore. It was a bad mask, you know. It's like someone saw it around the neck of a golden retriever and thought, I bet that'll stop a airborne virus. It didn't work at all. Like if you sneezed, it would just pop up. It was like if you farted in a kilt, it was like, poof. And nobody liked it. If you were pro-mask, you would say that isn't, providing any coverage. And if you would anti-mask, you would say, why are you succumbing to tyranny? And I was actually, recently I was on an Amtrak and someone came in wearing one of those and they robbed the train. It turned out it had nothing to do with COVID at all. And we all were like, oh, we thought that was your COVID mask. And they lifted it up and they had an N95, so shame on us. Hey, one of my big takeaways from COVID during the mask era was this. A person's eyes are no indication as to what the rest of their face is going to look like. You know those people you met during COVID, like school teachers or your barista at the coffee shop? And it turns out the bottom half of the face never makes the top half look better. Every time the first time you saw a full face of one of your COVID friends, you're like, oh no. If the eyes are the window to the soul, the nose is the pothole of the face. Hey, one of the upsides of the weather, I heard a lot of the rats are moving out. What a time to be a rat in New York City, by the way. The rats can't believe we're still doing outdoor dining. They're like, what? We thought this was for COVID only. This is amazing. Thank you. Rats talk about COVID the way people with second homes did, where they're like, the pandemic was very nice for us. Don't tell anybody, but we had a very nice. It is really, I feel like New York City, I love living here. I want to live here forever. I feel like we live amongst the smartest, most innovative people in the world. Give it up for New York City. Give it up for everybody being out tonight for a cause. Man, that's the thing about New York City. Look, let's be honest, it's not a great day, and you're all out for a cause, and there's 1,000 people here, and that's really amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause. With that said, it's very funny to me. This is such an innovative city, and then every now and then there's a headline that really makes me laugh. Because of last month, I read a headline that New York City is considering, because of the rat problem, they're considering making restaurants put their garbage in bins with lids. And I feel like the rest of the world must have been like, what have you been doing? And we're like, well, let's just kind of stack it up in piles. We hired a rat czar. And I'm all for hiring a rat czar. I just wouldn't have done a press conference. I feel like that's a job you hire on the down low. You hire the rat czar and be like, no one ever knows you exist. Also, czar, I feel like czar is a bad name. I mean, I'm not like a professor of Russian history, but I feel like it didn't end well. Again, there's a strike, so I'm only going to go on for like 2-3 hours. You guys, one of the reasons I'm here tonight, and let me just say, I'm happy to be back once again at Sanctuary's Zero Tolerance Benefit. A round of applause real quick for the reason we're all here. My incredibly talented wife has worked for this organization for the last 6 years. Can we have a round of applause? Not just for my wife, who is a brilliant lawyer, but a round of applause for all the brilliant lawyers in the room. Also, make some noise if you're married to a lawyer. I feel like I might start a charity called Sanctuary for the Spouses of Lawyers. I mean, real talk, it's a drag to be married to a lawyer just for how they fight. It's so unfair when you're arguing with a lawyer. They're so good at it. The other day I was arguing with my wife and she said, "Objection, argumentative." I will say it might be hard being married to a lawyer. It's also hard to be married to a comedian because you just live your life with a comedian. They get up on stage and get to say whatever they want about your marriage. So it is hard to be married to a comedian. With that said, it's also very hard to be a comedian who is married. Because when you're married, anytime you have a fight, I think the most important thing, and this is advice for anybody here who's not married yet, when you're having a fight with your spouse, you should always say the thing that de-escalates the situation. But when you're a comedian, all you ever think of are, this is a funny thing I could say that will make it worse. Like the other day, my kids love superheroes, okay? They love superheroes, and every night I tell them about superheroes, and they ask me questions, and they'll say, who's stronger, Hulk or Thor? And the other day, one of my kids said, who's faster, Superman or the Flash? And I was so happy they asked. That's an age-old question about superheroes, who's faster, Superman or the Flash? And here's the thing I should also make clear. Our kids don't watch a lot of screens. And I don't say that to me like we're better parents than you. I just say that to be like, our kids will turn out better than yours. So they don't watch a lot of screens, but I thought, oh, Superman racing the Flash, I bet there's a cartoon of that. And so sure enough, I look on YouTube, and there's a Justice League cartoon where Superman races the Flash. And I decide, to make an exception, and I put the kids, one on each knee, our two boys, and we're watching on my phone this video of Superman racing the Flash. And then my wife walks in from the other room, and she says, what are you doing? And I said, we're watching Superman race the Flash. And she said, a cartoon? And I couldn't help myself, and I said, no, the real guys. Yeah, it's like a documentary, and they weren't even trying to film. They were doing a desert documentary about cacti, and then these two. She didn't hear that part. She left. My son said a really sweet thing the other day, because my kids know, they're starting to know at least, that I'm a comedian and I do this for a living. And my oldest said, because they have one parent who's a benevolent lawyer, and they have another one who's a talk show host. And my 7-year-old said to me, when you die, do I get your show? And I thought that was nice. I will say it breaks my heart. My son did recently say something that's funnier than any joke I wrote this year. My son, when he has to pee, my son comes up to you and says, I have to pee. And when he has to poop, he comes up and he whispers in your ear, I have a secret that's brown. And it's so, because what else could it be? He's like, I have a secret that's brown. I'm like, let me guess, you got to poop? He's like, no, mom's having an affair with the UPS guy. Are we ready to have a good time tonight, everybody? As I've established, I'm completely biased, but Sanctuary for Families is such an amazing organization. True to its name, it is a family. It is a family for over 7,000 survivors of gender violence who seek their help every year. And Sanctuary is part of an amazing community. The staff, the volunteers, the survivor leaders, the board, the supporters, all of you in this room. That community makes possible the incredible services Sanctuary offers: legal representation, counseling, shelter, workforce training, everything a person might need to leave an abusive relationship and find safety and stability and a life free from violence. Let's give a round of applause to that. That is no small thing. That is substantial. By being here this evening, you are showing the world that you are committed to supporting survivors. We need to listen to them when they tell their stories and support organizations like Sanctuary so we can all live in a world free from gender violence. Thank you, everyone here tonight, for being part of our family. I said I was glad to be back. I'm very, very happy to be back, and I'm also very happy to be introducing once again Sanctuary for Families Executive Director, the Honorable Judy Harris Kluger.